It was a day like any other on Earth when the sky suddenly changed. People looked up, curious at first, then filled with awe and fear as massive ships appeared in the sky. These weren't the small, shiny objects that the world's media had speculated about for years. These were massive, towering vessels, each one big enough to cover entire cities. They moved slowly, silently, hovering above the ground, as if they had all the time in the universe. The aliens, that Excelnak, had arrived. At first, the governments of the world didn't know how to respond. The ships didn't shoot at anything, nor did they make any demands. They simply hovered, their dark silhouettes blocking out the sun. The world watched in shock, wondering what these visitors wanted. The Excelnak didn't speak immediately, choosing instead to observe Earth from a distance. They had come, not in peace, but with curiosity and certainty. They were the more advanced species, and Earth was just another planet to investigate. The Excelnak were used to finding primitive species, planets that were young, undeveloped, and full of potential for conquest or assimilation. They had traveled to countless worlds, and always found the same thing. Primitive beings, struggling to survive, their civilization barely above survival level. It had become routine for them, a simple task to conquer or enlighten these young races. But Earth was different. At least, that's what they thought at first. The Excelnak had monitored Earth from afar for years, watching as humanity grew and developed. But their technology, vast and far superior to anything humanity had achieved, couldn't fully reveal the planet's secrets. They saw human progress, buildings, machines, cities, wars, and peace, but they didn't see what lay beneath the surface. They had no idea that Earth wasn't as young as it seemed. For weeks, the world lived in a strange sense of calm chaos. People were terrified, not knowing if the aliens were going to attack or make contact. Governments scrambled to establish communication with the ships, but the Excelnak remained silent, simply observing. One morning, a single alien ship descended into the middle of the United Nations headquarters in New York. The crowd was stunned, the air filled with tension. Was this it? Would humanity be enslaved? Or would the aliens simply destroy Earth and move on to the next planet? There were 1,000 questions, but no answers. The ship landed smoothly, its size dwarfing the tallest buildings around it. It had a metallic surface, smooth like a mirror, with faint glowing patterns running across its body. The Excelnak had designed their ships to blend with the stars, to seem almost like part of the fabric of space itself. And now, here they were, on Earth. As the ship's hatch opened, a group of Excelnak emerged. They were tall beings, humanoid in shape but with strange, angular features. Their skin shimmered, and their eyes were black with glowing yellow centers, showing the power they held. They didn't speak, but their presence made it clear that they were the ones in control. World leaders gathered nervously in the United Nations building, standing in front of the massive ship. They tried to look calm, but inside, they were unsure of what to expect. The Excelnak representatives didn't speak at first either, sizing up the humans in front of them. One of the aliens stepped forward. Its voice was smooth, resonating with an authority that demanded respect. "We have come," the Excelnak leader said, "to see the species that occupies this world. Your planet is young. You are still learning. You have not yet ascended to the stars. But we will help you." The statement hung in the air like a heavy weight. The humans looked at each other, unsure of what to make of it. The Excelnak saw humans as a species still in the early stages of their development. They were curious, but they believed they knew everything about Earth. After all, their technology could see much further into the history of the planet than anything humanity had. They were wrong. The Excelnak assumed that Earth was just a young world, with little more than a few thousand years of civilization. They didn't know that beneath the surface, Earth's true history was far older and far more complex than they could have ever imagined. As the Excelnak began their survey of Earth, they started to notice something strange. They discovered ancient ruins hidden deep beneath the oceans, beneath mountains, and in places where humanity hadn't even begun to explore. These ruins were unlike anything the Xel'Nauk had ever seen, far more advanced than anything humanity had built, yet their designs were so alien that the Xel'Nauk couldn't even recognize their purpose. Who had built these things? How had they been constructed? And why hadn't humanity found them before? The Xel'Nauk couldn't understand. They assumed the ruins were the work of some other race, one that had lived on Earth before humanity even existed. But they couldn't fathom the truth. The humans were the heirs to these ancient civilizations. Meanwhile, humanity watched with growing interest as the Xel'Nauk revealed their knowledge and technology. The Xel'Nauk offered peace, but they did so with the assumption that humanity was still a primitive species. They were wrong to believe this, but they didn't know it yet. And soon, they would find out just how wrong they were. But that story would take time to unfold. As the Xel'Nauk explored, they would begin to realize something unexpected. Earth wasn't just a young planet. Humanity was no simple species. The Xel'Nauk would come to understand that they had stumbled upon the true Ancient Ones, and Earth was just the beginning. The aliens had made their first mistake, and humanity was ready to show them just how much they had underestimated the planet's true history. The Xel'Nauk were puzzled. The deeper they investigated Earth, the more they found themselves confused by the sheer complexity of the planet. They had assumed that humanity was young, just beginning to understand the stars and the world around them. But what they uncovered in their explorations was something far different. Beneath the surface of Earth, there were secrets that no one had ever dreamed of. They started their investigation by digging into the ancient ruins they had found scattered around the world. These were not just old buildings. They were marvels of technology, constructed with knowledge that the Xel'Nauk could not immediately comprehend. The alien race had seen the ruins of other worlds before, but nothing like this. The structures were not just remnants of a civilization. They were blueprints for something more advanced than anything that Xel'Nauk had encountered. In Egypt, beneath the sands of the Great Pyramids, the Xel'Nauk uncovered strange chambers that seemed untouched by time. Inside, they found symbols and diagrams that looked familiar, but were written in a language that Xel'Nauk had never encountered. The walls were etched with what appeared to be star maps, maps that indicated places far beyond the reach of even the most advanced Xel'Nauk technology. These ancient maps showed regions of space that even the Xel'Nauk had never visited, and they couldn't understand how such knowledge existed on a planet that should have been unaware of the universe. They found similar structures all over Earth, in South America, beneath the Andes Mountains, and deep in the jungles of Africa. Each discovery made their certainty waver. How could a young species like humanity have access to such ancient cosmic knowledge? But it wasn't just the ruins that perplexed the Xel'Nauk. The artifacts they found were just as strange. Ancient devices, still functioning despite the passage of countless millennia, hinted at technologies that were far beyond what humanity had developed. They found small, sleek machines buried in the ruins, machines that were capable of creating energy out of thin air, devices that used materials unknown to the Xel'Nauk. How could these objects exist on Earth, and how had they been hidden for so long? The more the Xel'Nauk investigated, the more they began to question everything they thought they knew about the planet. They began to see signs that there had once been a civilization far older than humanity, a civilization that was vastly more advanced. But that civilization was gone, and humanity seemed to have no memory of it. As the Xel'Nauk tried to dig deeper into Earth's past, they found strange energy fields surrounding the planet. These fields weren't natural. They were man-made, and they seemed to be blocking any attempt to fully uncover Earth's hidden history. The Xel'Nauk could not understand how this was possible. How could a primitive species like humanity have the ability to hide the true history of their world so thoroughly? To the Xel'Nauk, it seemed like Earth had been shielded by some greater force, a force that had been intentionally hidden, even from the most advanced alien species. But why? The more they pondered this, the more they began to feel a strange unease. They had made a huge mistake by underestimating humanity. The Excellenok were used to encountering species that barely knew how to defend themselves. They had conquered civilizations across the galaxy, bringing them into their fold with ease. But Earth wasn't following the pattern. There was something different about this world, something far more ancient and powerful than they had anticipated. They began to question if Earth had ever been as young as they had assumed. Could humanity truly be the heirs of this ancient, hidden civilization? Or was there something else at play? One of the Excellenok leaders, a being known as Vreshka, began to have doubts. He had been one of the most vocal in pushing for the exploration and eventual colonization of Earth. But now, as the team uncovered more of the planet's secrets, Vreshka started to realize that their mission might be more complicated than he had originally thought. He began to worry that humanity was not as helpless as they seemed. In fact, they might not even be the newcomers to this planet. What if humanity was just the latest chapter in Earth's long and hidden history? And if that were true, what kind of power might they be harboring? Vreshka decided to approach the humans directly, hoping to get answers from them. But when he arrived at the United Nations for the second time, he was taken aback by the change in their demeanor. The humans were no longer just scared and confused. They were starting to show something else: confidence. Humanity's leaders knew more than they were letting on. They had begun to piece together the mystery of their own past. They didn't just know about the ancient ruins, they had studied them. They understood more about their world's true history than the Excellenok had ever suspected. It was a turning point for both the humans and the aliens. The Excellenok had thought of humanity as weak, as a fledgling species with much to learn. But now, they were beginning to realize that the humans were holding back, and there was something important they weren't revealing. The truth about Earth's ancient history was about to be uncovered. But would the Excellenok be ready for what they were about to learn? And would humanity finally take their place in the galaxy as more than just a young, developing species? The mysteries of Earth were far from over. In fact, they were only just beginning to unfold. And as the Excellenok and humanity stood on the edge of discovery, the future of the galaxy was on the line. The more the Excellenok dug into Earth's history, the more they were starting to realize that something far greater than any alien technology had once existed on this planet. Despite their sophisticated technology, they were constantly hitting barriers, hidden forces that seemed to be preventing them from uncovering the entire truth. As they continued their exploration, the Excellenok began to encounter something they hadn't expected: resistance. It wasn't just the energy fields that surrounded Earth, blocking their scans and hiding the secrets of the past. It was something more profound, something ancient and powerful. It was as if Earth had been guarded, protected by a force far beyond the Excellenok's understanding. They couldn't see it directly, but they could feel it. A kind of presence, as though something was watching them, making sure they didn't uncover too much. It didn't take long for the Excellenok to realize that humans weren't the only ones watching over the Earth. As they ventured deeper into the planet's secrets, they began to come across strange figures, elusive and mysterious. At first, they were only glimpses, shadows moving in the corners of their vision, figures that were too quick to be caught. But the more the Excellenok investigated, the more they encountered these beings. One day, while the Excellenok explored a hidden chamber deep under the surface of the Earth, they came across an ancient door, an entrance that had been sealed for millennia. Inside, they found a powerful artifact unlike anything they had ever seen. It was a glowing orb, radiating with an energy so intense that it nearly overwhelmed their sensors. The orb seemed to hum with power, as though it contained the knowledge and history of the entire planet. But just as the Excellenok moved closer to study it, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was tall and cloaked in robes that shimmered with an otherworldly light. The being didn't speak at first, but its presence was enough to make the Excellenok stop in their tracks. The alien figures were used to facing adversaries, but this being wasn't just another species. It felt different. There was an aura of authority and power surrounding it that left even the Telenoch feeling small. The figure stepped forward, its eyes glowing with an intensity that sent a shiver down the spines of the Telenoch. And then it spoke, its voice calm but commanding. "This world is not yours to claim," it said. "You are intruders, and your understanding of Earth's past is far from complete." The Telenoch were taken aback. They had never encountered beings like this before. They were used to meeting other species that cowered in fear, eager to submit to their superior technology. But this being was different. It spoke with a tone that left no room for doubt. It was a protector of Earth, and it seemed ready to fight to keep its secrets hidden. The being revealed itself to be one of the guardians of Earth, a race of ancient protectors that had watched over the planet for eons. The Telenoch quickly learned that these guardians were not only powerful, they were tied to the very essence of Earth. Their job was to protect the knowledge of Earth's past and ensure that no outsider could ever exploit it. The guardians had been in hiding for centuries, watching as humanity slowly evolved and began to uncover the remnants of the ancient civilizations that once called Earth home. They had allowed humanity to discover the ruins, but they had never intended for outsiders, like the Telenoch, to gain access to the planet's deepest secrets. As the Guardians explained, Earth had once been home to a civilization that was older than anything the Telenoch had ever encountered. A civilization that had once mastered technologies far beyond the Telenoch's own. But that civilization had fallen long before the rise of humanity. However, in its final moments, this ancient race had left behind gifts for the next species to inhabit the planet. They had created the Guardians to protect these secrets, to make sure that the planet's history stayed hidden from any who sought to misuse it. The Guardians had been waiting for the right time to reveal themselves, watching as humanity's understanding of their world's past grew. They had allowed humans to discover the ruins, but the Guardians had always ensured that no one, especially not the Telenoch, could fully unlock the truth. But now that the Telenoch had arrived, things were different. The Guardians knew that humanity was ready. The time had come for the secrets of Earth to be revealed, but only to those who had earned the right to know. And humanity, the descendants of this ancient civilization, were the rightful heirs to the knowledge that had been hidden for so long. The Telenoch were shocked. They had thought that humanity was just a fledgling species, unaware of its true potential. They had believed they could come to Earth, claim it, and teach its people the ways of the stars. But now they realized they had underestimated humanity, and they had misunderstood Earth's history completely. Humanity was not a young species. In fact, they were the true heirs of Earth's ancient legacy, and that Telenoch had walked right into the middle of something they could never fully comprehend. The Telenoch leader, Vreshka, was torn. He had come to Earth with the intention of bringing humanity into the Telenoch's empire, but now he was confronted with a force that was both ancient and powerful, far beyond the reach of his people's technology. The Guardians gave the Telenoch one final warning: leave Earth, return to your ships and never return. But they also gave humanity a choice. Now that the time had come, humanity would need to decide if they were ready to fully claim their place in the universe. Would they accept their heritage as the true inheritors of Earth's ancient secrets? Or would they allow the galaxy to continue to see them as nothing more than a young naive species? The stage was set. The Telenoch had learned the truth about Earth's ancient guardians. Now it was up to humanity to decide what their future would be. And so, as the Guardians faded into the shadows, the fate of Earth, and perhaps the galaxy, hung in the balance. The Telenoch left Earth with more questions than answers, and the planet itself felt different to those who remained. The Guardians had revealed themselves, and the truth about Earth's ancient past was now out in the open. But even as they vanished back into the hidden corners of the planet, humanity was left with a monumental choice. They were no longer simply caretakers of a planet. They were the heirs of a powerful ancient civilization. The United Nations convened in a hastily called session, Leaders from every corner of the world gathering in a secure facility deep beneath the Earth's surface. The ancient artifacts and ruins scattered across the globe were no longer just mysterious relics. They were proof that humanity's history was far more complex than anyone had imagined. President Isabella Tran, who had been at the forefront of the global response to the alien threat, stood before a holographic map of Earth's ancient sites, each marked with glowing dots showing the places the Guardians had visited. Her team of experts had worked tirelessly to decode the alien writings and star maps hidden in the ruins. They had begun to realize that Earth had been a nexus of knowledge and power, but they hadn't known just how deep it went. "We've been living on a planet that isn't just young, it's ancient." President Tran's voice echoed in the chambers. "We've been the children of a civilization that mastered things we can't even begin to comprehend. But now, it's time to decide if we are ready to inherit that power." The decision wasn't easy. The world was divided. There were those who saw the Guardians as protectors, as beings who had kept Earth safe for centuries. But there were also others who felt humanity should assert its own independence. Was it right for the Guardians to control access to Earth's history? Should humanity be allowed to claim its full heritage, or was it wiser to leave the ancient powers hidden? One of the most vocal advocates for claiming their place was Dr. Samir Kadim, a leading archaeologist and historian who had uncovered much of the ancient ruins. He had been studying the remnants of the ancient civilizations for years, and he believed that humanity was ready to take on the mantle of its predecessors. The Guardians were sent to protect the knowledge, but they also shielded us from something we have the right to understand. We have the ability to use this knowledge wisely. We can build a better future, one that doesn't repeat the mistakes of the past. But not everyone agreed. General Mara Winters, head of the Earth Defense Forces, spoke out against this idea. She knew the power of the technologies hidden beneath the Earth. She also understood the dangers that came with it. "We don't know what kind of forces we're dealing with," General Winters said, her voice steady but firm. "The Guardians have kept this knowledge hidden for a reason. If we unleash it without fully understanding the consequences, we might be opening a door that could destroy us all." The debate raged on for hours, with no clear resolution in sight. However, amidst the heated arguments, there was one undeniable truth. The future of humanity would no longer be shaped solely by their current knowledge and abilities. They had an opportunity, a rare, once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, to step into a new age of enlightenment or perhaps destruction. As the discussion unfolded, a figure stepped forward. It was Dr. Ilara Chen, an expert in ancient civilizations and longtime ally of President Tran. She had worked closely with the Guardians during their first meeting with humanity and had witnessed their warning firsthand. "We have to remember that the Guardians didn't just protect Earth's past. They protected us from the very knowledge we seek to uncover. This is not just a decision about us. This is a decision about the future of our species, our civilization. We must understand the weight of what we're about to do." Her words struck a chord with the room. Dr. Chen's warnings reminded everyone of the delicate balance they were walking on. Could humanity really handle the power of the ancient civilization that had once ruled the planet? Or would their own ambition be their undoing? Meanwhile, on the streets of Earth's great cities, the news of the Selnock's departure and the Guardians' warnings spread like wildfire. People everywhere were talking about the same question. What should humanity do with this newfound knowledge? Some saw it as a call to rise, to claim the mantle of the ancient civilization and push humanity to the stars. Others feared the consequences of rushing into the unknown. But one thing was certain: humanity could never go back to the way things were. They were at a crossroads, and the choice they made would determine their future for centuries to come. Across the globe, people gathered in public forums, engaging in deep discussions and debates. They looked to their leaders for guidance, but the choice was ultimately theirs. They knew that the fate of their planet, of their very species, rested in their hands. As the UN session continued, President Tran took a deep breath. She knew what she had to do. She stood up and faced the assembly, her voice strong and unwavering. The time for debate is over. Humanity is ready for this challenge. We will face whatever comes, with the knowledge of our past and the wisdom to shape our future. We are not just the heirs of Earth's ancient history. We are its rightful heirs. We will claim our place in the galaxy ***. With those words, the decision was made. Humanity would no longer be bound by the past. They would claim their legacy, no matter the cost. The Guardian's warning had been heard, but humanity's resolve had only grown stronger. As the meeting ended, the world held its breath. The journey ahead would not be easy, but it was a journey that would shape the course of history. The ancient power of Earth had been unlocked, and the Guardians of the Galaxy were about to face a new powerful force. Humanity was no longer a fledgling species. They were ready to step into the cosmos. The next chapter of Earth's history was about to humanity's decision had been made, and the world watched as the plan was set into motion. Across the globe, leaders and scientists worked tirelessly to decipher the full extent of the knowledge buried beneath the planet's surface. The ancient technologies, once hidden by the Guardians, were now at humanity's fingertips. They began unlocking relics from Earth's mysterious past, advanced machines, star maps, and strange devices that seemed to defy the laws of physics. In the heart of the United Nations' new headquarters, President Isabella Tran stood before a team of global experts, including Dr. Ilara Chen and Dr. Samir Kadim. Together, they oversaw the excavation of the first major site, an underground complex found beneath the ruins of an ancient city buried deep within the mountains. The entrance had been sealed for millennia, but now, humanity was poised to break through the final barriers. This is it, the key to everything, Dr. Chen said, her voice filled with awe as they approached the sealed entrance. The Guardians never allowed us to see this, but now, it's ours to understand. The door to the complex groaned as it slowly opened, revealing a vast chamber lined with glowing symbols and strange machinery that seemed both organic and mechanical. The air was thick with an energy unlike anything the world had ever experienced. The chamber hummed with power, its very walls seeming alive, pulsing with a rhythm that resonated in the bones of those who entered. Dr. Kadim stepped forward, brushing his fingers over the symbols. These symbols, they're not just written language. They're a map, a blueprint for the universe itself. The Excellenach, still recovering from their failed attempt to conquer Earth, were keeping a close eye on the unfolding events. They had underestimated humanity's potential, and now they realized that their previous warnings were not just about protecting Earth's past. They were a warning of the immense power humanity was about to unleash. Back on the planet's surface, in a bustling command center, President Tran addressed the world, broadcasting her message to billions. Today, humanity takes its place in the universe. We are no longer the children of this planet. We are its true heirs. We stand on the shoulders of giants, and we will not falter. The world erupted in cheers, but there was a certain undercurrent of fear. Humanity had made a bold choice, but they were venturing into unknown territory. They had already unlocked a wealth of knowledge about the ancient civilization that once inhabited Earth. But there was still so much more to discover, and not all of it could be controlled. A few days later, an unexpected visitor arrived in the command center. A mysterious figure clad in ancient armor, carrying with them an artifact of great power. The Guardians had returned. You have unlocked knowledge that you were never meant to find. The Guardian spoke, its voice deep and resonant. But now, there is no turning back. You have awoken the ancient powers of this world. The question is, will you wield them wisely, or will they consume you? President Tran met the Guardian's gaze. She knew the stakes were higher than ever. The Guardians had never wanted humanity to unlock this knowledge, not because it wasn't theirs to claim, but because they feared the consequences of its power. They had seen what had happened to civilizations in the past when they weren't prepared for such immense knowledge. We understand the risks, President Tran replied, her voice calm but firm. But we are ready. Humanity has the strength, the resolve, to use this power to protect our world and to guide the galaxy. We will make the right choices." The Guardian did not speak again, but its eyes, glowing with ancient wisdom, seemed to soften for just a moment. It nodded and stepped back into the shadows, leaving humanity to chart its own course. With the return of the Guardians, and with the newly unlocked knowledge from Earth's deep past, humanity now faced the greatest challenge of all: how to navigate the future with the power of the ancient civilizations in their grasp. The stakes had never been higher. The galaxy was watching, and other alien species were beginning to take notice. What had once been a planet filled with primitive beings was now on the cusp of becoming a galactic power. But with this power came danger, the temptation to misuse it, to become like the civilizations that had come before them and fallen. The decision would be humanity's, but the consequences would be far-reaching. The universe was vast, and Earth was no longer an isolated speck in the cosmos. Its place among the stars was secure, but the legacy of the ancient species and the knowledge they left behind would shape the future of everything. Humanity now stood on the edge of greatness, and the future was as uncertain as it was thrilling. Would they become the guardians of the galaxy, protectors of peace and knowledge, or would they fall victim to the very power they sought to control? As the days passed, Earth's newfound power began to reverberate across the galaxy. The ancient knowledge unlocked by humanity had caught the attention of many. What was once a hidden truth was now out in the open. Alien species, some ancient and powerful, others young and curious, turned their eyes toward Earth. Some approached in peace, seeking alliances. Others, fearful of what humanity might become, arrived with caution, their weapons at the ready. The Guardians, whose true identity had always remained a mystery, had retreated into the shadows after their brief encounter with President Tran. Their return had been brief but impactful, a reminder of the fine line humanity walked. The Guardians were watching, and humanity's next steps would determine its future. Yet, despite their warnings, humanity felt empowered. This was their moment, and they intended to rise to it. The UN Assembly had formed a new council, the Earth Coalition, whose purpose was to govern the use of the newly discovered ancient technologies. President Tran, though faced with immense pressure from all corners of the Earth, remained resolute in her belief that humanity's destiny was to join the galactic community, not be kept in the shadows. "I know the risks," she said to her team one evening as they reviewed the plans, "but we cannot shy away from our responsibility. The galaxy is watching us. This is our chance to lead." Meanwhile, on the outskirts of the galaxy, a group of alien species met in secret. Their collective name was the Silent Watchers, and they had seen civilizations rise and fall across the stars for eons. These species, though scattered and fragmented, had one thing in common: fear of humanity. They had watched Earth's awakening with increasing concern, and now they debated how to respond. "We cannot allow them to rise unchecked," one of the Watchers, a tall being with translucent skin, said. "Their potential is far greater than we anticipated. They are no longer just a planet of primitive creatures. They are awakening to their true power. We must stop them before they become a threat to the galaxy." "Stopping them would only escalate tensions," another Watcher, a creature with hundreds of eyes, replied. "We cannot underestimate the consequences. Their rise could change everything. But if we remain passive, we risk being overrun by their ambition." The Watchers debated for days. Some proposed forming an alliance to confront Earth's leaders directly, while others suggested a more subtle approach, manipulating Earth's new power from behind the scenes. In the end, they agreed that caution was key. They would continue observing, but they would also begin to plant seeds of doubt among humanity's leaders. They would exploit the growing division on Earth between those who sought to embrace the galactic community and those who feared the risks of such power. Back on Earth, the political landscape was becoming increasingly fractured. Despite the overwhelming desire to move forward, there were factions within the Earth Coalition who were reluctant to fully trust in the unknown technologies they had uncovered. Some feared that humanity wasn't ready to bear such a burden, and that the knowledge they had unlocked could easily be misused. "We're playing with fire," General Mara Winters said during a heated debate in the coalition. "These ancient powers are far beyond our understanding. We don't know what we're dealing with. The Guardians warned us about the consequences. We need to slow down before we make a fatal mistake." Her words resonated with many, but there were those who argued that stagnation was the greatest danger of all. Dr. Samir Kadim, ever the optimist, had become a passionate advocate for full disclosure of all the ancient knowledge. "We've been kept in the dark for so long." Dr. Kadim's voice echoed through the assembly room. "It's time to embrace our true legacy. The galaxy is watching, and the longer we hesitate, the more we risk being left behind." But it wasn't just political leaders debating the future of Earth. The people of the planet were beginning to react to the vast changes around them. Some celebrated the newfound access to the galaxy's ancient technologies, eager to join the interstellar community. Others, frightened by the unknown, began to question the true price of power. Protests broke out in several major cities as people voiced their concerns about the unknown consequences of unleashing ancient, powerful technologies. The tensions on Earth were palpable. It was clear that humanity could not move forward without resolving these internal divisions. President Tran knew that her leadership would be tested as never before. She couldn't afford to be seen as reckless, but she also couldn't allow fear to paralyze humanity's potential. In a bold move, President Tran called for an emergency meeting with the Guardians, hoping that the beings who had protected Earth for so long would finally reveal their true intentions. The world held its breath as the meeting was set to take place. For the first time in history, humans would stand face to face with the Guardians of Earth, not as protectors, but as equals. The future of Earth, and its place in the galaxy, was about to be decided. As the meeting began, President Tran's voice rang out across the room, steady and confident. "We've come to understand the magnitude of the decision we face. Earth's legacy is intertwined with the knowledge we now possess. But we need your guidance. What is our place in the galaxy?" The Guardians, silent as ever, stepped forward. Their presence was overwhelming, like a storm that never arrived, a calm before the true chaos. One of them finally spoke, its voice deep and resonant, carrying the weight of centuries. "Your place in the galaxy is not one we can define for you." The Guardian's words echoed in the room. "You are the architects of your future. You must choose whether you will protect the galaxy or fall victim to the temptations of power. Your path will be yours to walk. But know this, the choices you make will have far-reaching consequences." With those final words, the Guardian stepped back into the shadows, leaving humanity to face its future. The room fell into silence. The weight of the galaxy's eyes was on Earth now. There was no going back. Humanity had been given a chance, an opportunity to shape the cosmos. The question was, would they rise to the challenge, or would they fall prey to the same temptations that had destroyed so many others before them? The time for action had come. As they unlocked more secrets and faced new challenges, the question would remain: could humanity rise above the mistakes of the past and claim its rightful place in the cosmos? Or would they become another forgotten chapter in the universe's endless history? The next steps were unclear, but one thing was certain: the future of Earth and humanity had changed forever. The silence following the Guardian's departure was suffocating. It felt as if the entire galaxy were holding its breath, waiting for humanity to make its next move. The decision before President Tran and the Earth Coalition was monumental. They could choose to wield the power they had unlocked responsibly, forging alliances and leading the galaxy into a new era of peace and cooperation, or they could fall victim to the dangers of the ancient knowledge they had unearthed and bring destruction upon themselves. For days, the coalition debated. Behind closed doors, diplomats, scientists, and military leaders huddled together, unsure of what path to take. Outside the walls of the United Nations headquarters, protests continued to grow. Citizens, divided by their fear and excitement about the future, clashed in the streets. Some demanded that humanity embrace its newfound power, while others pleaded for caution, terrified of the unknown forces they had yet to understand. As President Tran walked through the quiet halls of the UN building, she couldn't escape the weight of the decision she was about to make. The voices of the people, the warnings from the Guardians, and the uncertainty of the future all pressed heavily upon her shoulders. But there was one thing she knew for certain: humanity could not stand still. They had always been a species of explorers, of pioneers. They had discovered fire, traveled across oceans, and touched the stars. This moment would define them, for better or worse. In her office, she sat at the desk, staring at a map of the galaxy displayed on the screen before her. Earth was a tiny speck in the vastness of space, but the ancient knowledge they had uncovered had the potential to change everything. The galaxy would never be the same again. "We have the power to change the galaxy," she whispered to herself. "But do we have the wisdom to wield it?" That evening, President Tran addressed the world once again. This time, her message would not just be about the promise of a bright future. It would be about the harsh reality of the choices they faced. "Fellow citizens of Earth," she began, her voice steady but filled with the weight of responsibility. "We stand at the crossroads of our history. The knowledge we have unlocked is more powerful than we ever imagined. It is the key to our future, but it is also the greatest test we will ever face. The Guardians have warned us, and we have heard their words. The power we now possess can either lead us to greatness or to our destruction. This is our choice, and we must make it together." As the world watched, millions of eyes fixed on their screens, waiting for the next step. The debate raged on across the globe, but it was clear that the decision would come down to a single question: could humanity rise above its flaws and wield the power responsibly? Or would they succumb to the same temptations that had destroyed other civilizations before them? In the midst of the chaos, the silent watchers, hidden in the depths of space, observed the unfolding events with growing anxiety. Their fear of humanity's potential was now matched by their realization. There was nothing they could do to stop Earth's rise. The knowledge they had buried deep beneath the surface of the planet was already in humanity's hands. They could no longer contain it. One of the Watchers, a species that had once been part of the ancient civilizations that had collapsed, turned to his colleagues. "If we allow them to proceed, we risk everything. But if we intervene now, it will be war. Let them choose their fate." The leader of the Watchers responded gravely. "If they fall, they fall. But if they succeed, we will have no choice but to acknowledge their place in the galaxy." Back on Earth, humanity had made its decision. The Earth Coalition had voted, and the outcome was clear. They would move forward, but with caution. Humanity would open its doors to the galaxy, forging alliances with other species and sharing knowledge, but only on the condition that they would never lose sight of their responsibility. The ancient technologies would be kept in check, safeguarded by a council of experts and guardians, chosen from every nation and race on Earth. President Tran's final speech on the matter was broadcast to the world, a statement of unity and determination. "We are not perfect. We have made mistakes, and we will make more. But we will not let our flaws define us. We stand together, united to protect this planet and its place in the universe." And as Earth took its first steps toward galactic cooperation, the galaxy watched, unsure of what would come next. Some alien species remained skeptical, while others offered their support. But one thing was certain: the age of Earth's isolation was over. The time for humanity to shape its own destiny had arrived. The universe would never be the same again. And now, humanity's legacy, its place in the stars, was finally in its own hands. The story of Earth, and the humans who had dared to challenge the unknown, was just beginning.